Ever since the 1920s, physicists have been trying to make sense of an uncomfortable discovery. When they tried to pinpoint the exact location of a subatomic particle such as an electron, they found it was literally impossible. The electron has no single position. When we study the properties of atoms, we find something even stranger than we would write in fiction. Particles really do have the possibility of being in more than one place at one time. The only explanation that people can come up with is that these electrons don't just exist in our universe. There's an infinite number of parallel universes in which these electrons pop into and out of existence. Imagine another world, a whole other universe with another solar system and a planet just like ours. On this parallel Earth there exists an exact copy of you. You could be leading exactly the same life, but in another universe. Now imagine an entirely separate universe where you may be leading an entirely different life at the same time you're leading yours. This may sound fantastic, incredible, and impossible, but many scientists believe they have evidence to prove it.
It seems to be human nature to assume that just because we can't see something, then it doesn't exist. But up until 100 years ago, we didn't even know there was anything outside of our own galaxy.
We still don't really understand how the universe works. For decades, scientists have been searching for one cohesive theory of everything, a theory that will unite Einstein's theory of general relativity, which describes how gravity affects objects over large scales, with quantum physics, the science of the tiniest matter. Together, these two great theories describe everything humanity knows about the universe.
The problem is, these two theories hate each other. It seems impossible in today's world to find a quantum version of general relativity, but if we were able to unite these two theories together, then we would essentially have a theory of everything which would ultimately explain the entire universe.
In the 1920s, scientists came up with a new idea, one that would explain the mysteries of the universe, including whether or not parallel worlds really did exist. They called this idea string theory.
Up until now, we've always believed that subatomic particles are these tiny little dots with all of their mass contained at a single point. However, string theory predicts that the particles could actually be tiny little one-dimensional strings, and the properties of each of the individual atoms are governed by the vibrations of the strings themselves. It's just like if you're playing a guitar. Each time you strum a guitar slightly differently, you're going to get a slightly different note, and each of these notes corresponds to the properties of a different subatomic particle.
The strangest concept to come out of string theory is that of higher dimensions. It predicts that our world is not quite as three-dimensional as we would like to think. There are in fact 11 dimensions.
6 of these extra dimensions exist all around us. We just can't see them because they're so small. They kind of fold around the normal 3 dimensions that we see in our everyday lives.
The final spatial dimension is a giant energetic membrane. Our universe is connected to this membrane by the other smaller higher dimensions. Not only that, our universe floats around in a sea of other universes.
So our universe is contained within a membrane, and this membrane sits next to another membrane just a fraction of a millimetre apart.
According to the latest theories, billions of years ago, before our universe even existed, in less than an instant, 2 giant membranes smashed together and produced the Big Bang.
If it's happened once, it can happen again. In fact, there are probably new universes being created all of the time. Now, quantum physics predicts that a particle can be in 2 places simultaneously at the same time. In fact, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle suggests that particles will definitely be in 2 places at the same time. Now, because our bodies are just a collection of atoms, it makes perfect sense that a person could actually be in one place and be somewhere completely different simultaneously.
So with an infinite amount of universes, anything is possible.
Quantum theory tells us that if an electron has 2 possible choices, then both of those outcomes will occur. They just might not occur within the same universe. But there are hundreds of universes being created every moment. Now, that does mean that there are going to be an infinite number of carbon copies of ourselves. But because in each universe you've made slightly different choices, each version of yourself is very slightly different.
This means that statistically, anything that can happen, has happened, or will happen in some universe.
So in one universe, Elvis Presley might still be alive, or in another, Osama bin Laden could be the President of the United States.
Or in some